Hey guys, welcome to DM's Craft Short Tip, and I'm DM Scotty. Good to have you with me. In this video I'm going to do something a little interesting. I wanted to convert a figure for one of my games, and what I did is I used an old Mage Knight figure, and over at Ben's RPG pile they have a nice, he has a nice page on how to get those figures off those stupid click bases and put them on a regular base for use in D&D or your other games. And so I found that really helps. So you may want to visit his page and see how that was done. Now in mine, I found that if the figure is big enough, I can just snap it right off the base. I don't have to get it off the base by the way he talks about. So and the figure I used in this video was that way, so I was able to just snap it right off the base. But these old Mage Knight figures, you can usually get them pretty dirt cheap. They have tons of them on eBay. If you're looking for unusual figures, you can go through the different figures and find something you need. Basically what I was wanting to do was have a mud elemental, and I found a slime ooze model, old Mage Knight model that was like greenish, but I wanted to convert it into a mud elemental. So I bought the figures. I had a couple of them in the scenarios. I bought the figures. It cost me like a couple bucks, and then I got them off the. I'm going to get them off the base. Show you how to get them off the base, and put them on a new base. But I'm going to actually have them look like they're coming out of the base. So it's a neat little technique that I'm going to do in the video. So just that little extra interest to the figure. And then I'll paint it up to make it look like mud as opposed to slime. Now in this video, I just wanted to warn you, I'm not going to paint the. I'm not going to show you me. I'm not going to show me painting the figure. I really want to show you the technique more than the painting the figure. There are tons of videos on YouTube for painting figures, so if you need help in that department, there are lots of resources that you can watch. I'm more interested in showing you the technique of what I did as opposed to actually painting the figure, since there's so much out there already. I didn't feel like to do that, so I'm going to kind of show you how I set the figure up, and then and prepare it for painting, and then I'll basically show you the figure finished. So yeah, I didn't want you to think that in this video I'm going to show you how to paint the figure. So but I'll describe what I did and everything, so you'll see what I mean. And let's get to it. Here we go, guys. I've got my figure. This is an old Mage Knight figure. It's an acid ooze, but I want to use it as like a mud elemental. So what I'm going to do is remove it from the base and put it on a new base, and then do some detailing on the base. Paint it, then do some detailing on the base. These can be tricky to remove. This one's might be kind of cool because it's kind of wide, so I might be able to just snap it right off the base. Some of you can do that. Others are harder, and at Ben's RPG pile, he talks in length about getting these off of bases and applying them to new bases. So you could go there to check out for more difficult. But what I'm going to try to do with this one, I'm just going to try to snap it off. So let's see how much luck I have. Sometimes they don't put very much glue on these. Sometimes there's a lot of glue and it's really hard to get off. And I'll have to use his method to get it off. So what I'll do is I'll just try to snap it now, and then I will see if that doesn't happen. I'll do it through his method. So let me see what happens here. So just apply some pressure, hold the base down, apply some pressure to the figure. Alright, I just popped it right off the base. Now you may get a little bit of that base residue on there. So what I'm going to do is just take an X-Acto and just scrape that off.
You want to get it as flat as possible so it'll adhere to the new base. So now I've got all that excess black base off there, and now I will get ready to apply it to the base itself. So here I've got the figure, and I'm going to use a 30mm base, and what I want to do to make this stick a little better to the base itself is I'm going to score the bottom with my X-Acto knife. So just kind of drag it across the surface and make little scores in the figure itself. These are like a hard plastic, so they score pretty well. And this will just help give it some adhesion to the base. So I'll see if you can see that. I don't know if you can see that scoring there, but I've got that scored. So I'm going to score the base a little bit too. Although this is a textured base, so it's not too bad. Okay. Now generally what I was doing was I was using epoxy to glue these on. But I found a substitute that I really like. It's called goop. It's nice because you don't have to mix it. You don't unlike epoxy, you don't have to mix it together, so it's less messy. It is very viscous though, so be careful about using it. You don't want to squirt too much out. Just a little dab will do her, basically. So I'm going to apply that to the base, or to the figure, and then stick it to the base. So there we go, I got my dab on there. Now I'll just put it to the center of the base. And there we go. I've got my figure all stuck to the base. The thing I like about the goop too is it has a lot of strength as far as the initial hold. Epoxy is very weak in the initial hold, so stuff keeps falling over or falling off. So I found that the goop actually, this figure's no problem because it has a large base, but other figures that have smaller bases or feet stand up much better with the goop than they do with the epoxy. So we'll let that dry, and then we'll come back and finish up our figure here. So my goop is dried on the base, and now I'm going to use one of my modeling friends. It's the flexible modeling paste to do some texture on the base, so I'll open that. Now the brush I'm using is fairly thin, it's and fairly stiff, so let me get some modeling paste out, and then I'll just kind of goop it on the model. This is very similar to what I did with the croc. But what I want to do is I want to kind of make the base look like it's swirling up into the figure. So okay, so I've got that on there. So now what I'll do is I'll start pulling some onto the figure. Trying to get a balance between seeing what I'm doing and showing you what I'm doing. So I'm kind of following the natural bends in the figure. I'm kind of pulling that paste up onto the figure. So we're kind of getting that, it looks like it's coming out of the base. So let's see here. Be careful, you don't want to cover up too much of the figure's detail. All right, so now I'll give you a peek at that. So you can see how it kind of looks like it's swirling out of the base, going up into the figure. So here's my finished miniature. I'm not going to paint this. There are lots of videos on YouTube that show how to paint miniatures. Basically all I did was I base painted it black, then put a dark brown on it, and then a lighter brown as a little bit of a highlight. And that's all I did. So this is, I'm using this for a mud elemental. So I've totally repurposed the old acid ooze miniature, and I really like how it looks like it's popping out of the base, like it's coming out of the mud, and that's just really a nice effect. But if you're interested in miniature painting, there are a lot of other videos on YouTube that show how to do it, so I'm not going to get into that. I just really wanted to show how you can think about converting other figures into something else. So now I want to show you how I used it in play, and I'll set that up for you. So here's my tile from my mite layer. I had bubbling mud pits on both sides of this thin trail. So basically, it's like this small trail is about 5 feet wide or less, but roots are dangling down from the ceiling, and mud and water is dripping on the trail, so it's all muddy and the roots are all slippery. So it's not an easy move to get across. So basically what I had the players do was, if they moved like it was difficult terrain, then they could move without any kind of danger of falling. But if they wanted to move further, they had to make an acrobatics check. So, but to add complexity to this, there was a monster attacking them from the other side, with artillery monster with range attacks, so they had to deal with that. And then as an added threat, these mud elementals came up and were lobbing mud balls at the party and trying to pull them under if they fell in. So pretty simple, not a lot of monsters in the encounter. There were only 3 compared to the party. Well, I had a party of 6, but there's only three models on the board right now. But so not a very crazy amount of monsters, but just a high complexity with trying to get across here and deal with this stuff. So it was a lot of fun, and I think the mud elementals came out really nicely. And so keep that in mind when you want to when you want a monster but you can't really find it. So kind of think outside the box and think how you can convert other models to fill in for what you want to use them for. And a lot of these Mage Knight figures, like Ben's RPG pile has talked about, you can get them dirt cheap on eBay. You can get huge lots, or you can get them $1 or less a figure. So that's a great place to look for these figures that you may not be able to find elsewhere. So, all right, there you go, and I'll see you next time on Short Tip.